Alright, super serious, got a question. What's better? Perfect or done? A lot of people stress over this hobby, and if it's a valid reason for you, I'm not going to judge you on that. I'll judge you on your Google search history instead. No matter what level you're at, you're going to make a mistake. No ifs, no buts, no coconuts. Put it this way, the master has failed more times than the apprentice has tried. And what usually separates them isn't by knowing how to avoid the mistake, but knowing how to fix it. And with a mentality and tagline like that, you would be forgiven for thinking that this video was going to be about showing you how to fix mistakes. This one is actually learning how to live with the shame. There are 7 mistakes in this video. See if you can spot them and drop them in the comments. Just like every other paint job, we're going to start off by dropping the base. And a real quick tip, if you don't have any medium and you don't really like to use water to thin down, you can use washes and speed paints. Not only will it thin down the consistency, but it can also start to add a little bit of a hue punch. Not much is happening here because it's literally purple into purple. The goal for this one was just to get the paint flowing off the brush and onto the model. But just like with any other color mixes, you can play around with combinations to see what kind of hues you can pull out. I have 2 kids I can barely pull out of the driveway. To be honest, base coating is something that gets overlooked significantly. In the mid-tier cork sniffing group that is miniature painting, a lot of the focus goes on doing the fancy things. And a lot of the time that means a lot of foundations get left aside. Every now and again you will miss a bit, but this is also why I usually start from a black primer. Mostly because when I miss a spot, it doesn't stick out as much as white or grey would. If you play Yu-Gi-Oh, this is going to be a term that you've heard before, but you've never truly understood. We're going to use a wash because I want to continue that same idea. Because there are just some little specks and crevices that you will absolutely miss and not see until you're a lot further down the paint job. And by throwing on that same night root shade wash, it's going to make sure everything is actually coated. And we get the added bonus of washes doing what washes do and starting to define some of those recesses for us. Detail separation for readability a lot of the time is more important than most techniques that we fuss about. And since it's just the base, you can be pretty generous here. 90% of miniature painting videos include layering, and if you want to strip back layering to its bare naked truth, it's just shit base coating. Adding this layer of mossy green should explain why a layer is just a shit base coat. An actual base coat is making sure that everything is covered, so when it comes to a layer, it's the same thing, but you don't cover everything. We're using the same thin down paint, the same idea of application, just covering less. There's going to be a lot of booty shots in this video, and I swear it's because of the variation in shape. The variation in curves is actually going to change the highlight situation a little bit. Because being completely honest, from the front, she's built like an iPhone. Because Infinity as a game is closer to a skirmish, there's not as much of a model count. And that means I can spend a little bit more time on everything. But these are also going to be playable models with a bunch of people and their grubby mitts all over them. So while we want good, we don't need perfect. Which is lucky because perfect doesn't exist. A lot of people do say that they're a perfectionist, but really they're just scared of doing something. When it comes to painting, perfect for me is matching outcome with expectation. You get to set that bar. We might be about to change colour, but we're still layering. Get back to work. Shit base coat number 3. Now we're moving into pure wicked pink, and we're covering even less than what we covered before. And because we're trying to get directional, and this is a volumetric video, covering less than the previous layer means both vertically and horizontally. Every time that we step up in colour, what we're actually doing is we're trying to exaggerate a shape. The idea is somewhat akin to pulling light towards the light source. At this point, we've all seen Brokeback Mountain, so we know what top and bottom is. And when it comes to exaggerating shapes, this whole idea is very vanilla. Your standard mayonnaise-loving white missionary idea of placement is light goes on top, dark goes on the bottom. And that works in a very 2D sentiment. But just like your mum's Friday nights where we bring in a 3rd D, we need something a little extra along the sides. Because miniatures generally are 3-dimensional models, we want to try and exaggerate all of those shapes. Just looking at the legs, you can see that the placement has gone from dark to light. It's already built up a gradient from bottom to top, but we've also done that on the sides where as it starts to kind of fold around, it's getting dark to light again. And that same idea here is represented with the chesticles. With dark to light, it's going bottom to top for the abdomen and then back to front for the chest. It all pushes forward. We are finally up to highlighting, but do you want to know what highlighting actually is? It's more fucking layering.
If you wanted to, you can just use lighter pink paints. In the Fnatic range, they do keep them in triad, so you can kind of just keep stepping up that ladder. But here, I wanted to add the impression that the light source is actually a little bit warm. So for warm light, I'm actually using a warm off-white, in this case, ice yellow. Let's be honest, in most cases, it's going to be ice yellow. And then for placement and application, this is exactly the same as we've been doing this entire fucking time. This is just a continuation of the gradient that we've already been setting down with all of the other colors that we've been using. Highlighting is important, I don't want to take that away, but some people do put it on a weird pedestal where they think about it differently. Where in reality, it's just the exact same thing. The only thing that actually changes here is being a little bit more mindful of the light placement. Because we've got some rounded cheeks here, we're going to be painting a little bit more rounded of a highlight. But for something like a leg, it's essentially just a cylinder, so yeah, we're just going straight up and down. The other thing that's going on here, even though there's a strap going across the chest, I'm completely ignoring that and painting that single panel as if it were a single shape. Imagine what it would look like without the straps across it, and that's basically what we're going to keep on going with.
So obviously I am on the Army Painter Factory team, so the Army Painter is where I get the majority of my shit from, and with the code Heresy 5, it can be where you get the majority of your shit from.
Because I haven't been overly fussed with blending or creating smooth transitions, I'm going to use the wash again as a little bit of a tint to help hide some sins. This is just that same Nightroot shade straight out of the bottle, just not loaded up on the bristles. What I'm counting on here is it acting as a very light filter and essentially just a really thin layer to kind of pull everything down together. And while I'm adding this step, it doesn't matter if you don't. To be honest, it does only make a very minimal change, but to be fair, it only takes about 20 seconds a model.
Let's get a little variation in here, and to kick off that variation, we're going to start with the same goddamn colour.
These little patterned ripple things like a puffer jacket perplex me. As a detail, it's fine, and I always kind of assumed I'd be painting this a different colour, and then just kind of highlighting in like individual shapes. But then I had a little bit of a different idea. Do you remember those weird batteries where you just put your finger on one end and then like there was a little dot where you put your finger on the other and it'd show you how much charge there are? Yeah, we're going to do that. It's also going to be a great way to actually add in some more colour. So we're going to build this up from pink to orange. Actually yellow. We're going to build this up from pink to yellow. So the question is, why am I now painting all of it pink? Well, I'm glad you asked. Orange and yellow don't have the greatest reputation for coverage, which means they need just that little bit of extra support. So what we're doing here is we're just going to paint every single color going up, and the same idea as layering, we're just going to cover a little bit less every single time. Except this time we're pushing it in the way of a gradient. And no, I don't particularly care that every section isn't perfectly covered.
So obviously I am on the Army Painter Factory team, so the Army Painter is where I get the majority of my shit from, and with the code Heresy 5, it can be where you get the majority of your shit from.
Okay, I do care a little bit that not everything's perfectly covered, so I am coming back and just kind of glazing in, filling out some stuff. There is a difference between not looking for perfection and sloppiness. At the end of the day, we still give a shit about what we're doing and what it's going to look like at the end. Just because we're not shooting for the idea that every single model has to look like it's going to win Monte Santovino, doesn't mean we want it to look like we've just dipped it in a can of house paint. There is absolutely nothing wrong with taking pride in your work and trying your best for the best outcome. A lot of the time, it's actually encouraged because it promotes growth. But the idea that something has to be perfect in order for it to be good is going to be a feels bad. Instead of being overly critical to the point of paralysis, just keep going. And then when you do make a mistake, look at it as an opportunity of learning where to do better next time. If you fuck up, the sky's not going to fall.
There is a lot of warmth in here, and that can be broken up with some cool tones. And because this is still a part of my usual synthwave, that cool tone is going to be a turquoise. I'm really only going to show you the straps, but there are going to be a bunch of different places. We got reasons.
It can be a little tough to find places to add some accent colours to. I'm fairly lucky in this regard since I paint everything in eye-bleeding synthwave. Nothing ever really has to be the colour that you kind of would expect in the real world. Most people would just paint straps, pouches and boots in brown. Me, I get to use a turquoise. But the biggest thing to remember with accent colours is basically create a balance. You're not only adding a colour to create a little bit more interest, you also want to, again, balance everything out so we don't have a shift of weight. The best example of that is what's happening right now. When I started laying down the Deep Azure, the only plan was to have the straps done. But that meant that all the turquoise was sitting on the top half of the model, and it felt just a little bit too heavy and too one-sided, which is why I came back and ended up adding that same deep azure down to those little leg flank things. That one little addition of colour evened everything out, and with that little spread taking the weight from the top and spreading it over the rest of the model, it actually made it feel more cohesive. But because it's only a select grouping of sections, it still gives a little bit of pop of interest without being the main character. And a lot of the time, this is why you see knee pads painted the same as shoulder pad trim on Space Marines. It's adding interest while keeping a balance.
While this is all big, bold and bright, we still need somewhat of a focal point, and for this one, it's actually going to come naturally. Unless you're watching Charmed, Baywatch or The Golden Girls, your eyes are going to naturally drift towards the face. Which means we want to make the face stand out. I don't usually add a single colour that isn't going to be repeated somewhere on the model for balance reasons, but when it comes to this, we're actually going to get away with it.
For that same issue of balance, I generally like to work in triangles, which typically means every time I add a new colour, there is going to be at least 2 other points that are creating a balance. Typically, when it comes to somewhat humanoid models, you get the face and the hands to pull off this triangle. But going back to something that's completely covered with only the face exposed, we will get away with that because it's kind of natural. When we look at a face, we're expecting to see a face. Granted, you could absolutely make it look like it's wearing face paint, not quite Tropical Thunder level, but in this one moment, this is absolutely the exception to the rule. Badger, 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 badger.
I'm gonna be real. I didn't film the painting of the kicks. I should have, but I didn't. But I did them in the exact same way as we're going to do the pew-pews. So at least there's that.
This is actually going to be the same recipe as the rose that we did for the Sniper Priest last week. It was all just still on the palette. And no, the paint didn't last the entire week on the palette. I just painted these two a lot closer in time than you would expect. The kicks I kind of wanted to paint like old school high top. So yeah, they went white. And I followed this up with the pew-pews as well. Because of the pose of the model, I know 4 points would typically make a square or a rectangle, but because the pew-pews are a little spread out and the feet are closer together, it does somewhat make our triangle for balance. So honestly, this is good enough. Also, these aren't the easiest or most defined things in the world to paint. And when you come across a detail like this, the best thing to do is kind of just add an inference that there's some detail there. All we have to do is pick out the shapes and try and make it as readable as possible. I honestly don't know how many times I'm going to keep using the tagline of not everything is going to be a masterpiece, but not everything has to be a masterpiece. But honestly, it's true. When it comes to miniature painting, all we have to do is be happy with the outcome, and the added bonus would be figuring out where we can do something better next time. As long as there's a next time, there's really no dramas. How many mistakes did you end up spotting in the video? As always, a massive thank you to the Army Painter, Corvus Belly, and the best Patreon members in the world. Big love, you filthy hairy tits.